How much will Singapore ease COVID-19 restrictions after June 13? How far will the current strict rules on social gatherings be relaxed, given that COVID-19 cases in the community have steadily decreased over the past month? Any changes are likely to be calibrated and gradual, say public health experts, with a balance struck between easing the pressure on hard-hit sectors and preventing another uptick in COVID-19 transmission. Associate Professor Alex Cook, Vice Dean of Research at the Saw Swee Hock School of Public Health at the National University of Singapore, NUS, said, ever since the circuit breaker last year, the government has acted gradually and cautiously in relaxing measures. On May 14, the Health Ministry announced that dining in would be banned and social gatherings capped at 2 for nearly a month, among other tightened measures put in place following a rise in the number of locally transmitted cases. The new rules, which essentially set Singapore back to Phase 2 of its reopening, kicked in on May 16. On Wednesday, June 9, Singapore reported just 2 new community cases, one of which is unlinked. Size limits on social gatherings had been reduced from 8 to 5 people on May 8, 4 months after Singapore entered Phase 3 of its reopening. Just over a week later, as community cases continued to rise, the rules were further tightened such that people could gather only in groups of 2. The stricter measures were initially slated to end on June 13, although Finance Minister Lawrence Wong, who co-chairs the multi-ministry task force tackling the pandemic, said last week that the country is unlikely to return to Phase 3 of its reopening immediately. Professor Teo Yee Keing, who is Dean of New Saw Swee Hock School of Public Health, noted that the latest numbers are a positive sign. The country can therefore afford to lift some restrictions, perhaps allowing some degree of dining in and permitting a portion of workers to return to the office, he said. For instance, the maximum size of social gatherings could be increased to 5, with up to 50% of staff allowed back at work under split-team arrangements. In making their decision, the authorities will have to consider 2 attributes of every activity, its risk and its economic or social importance, Professor Cook said. Determining which activities or events are allowed involves working out which combination of activities keeps the total risk tolerable, but brings a good overall benefit, Professor Cook said. For instance, Singapore may choose to relax restrictions for students more quickly, should enough of them get vaccinated before school reopens. But they also noted that Singapore remains vulnerable once the rules are eased, given the transmissibility of new variants of the coronavirus. Sembawang GRCMP Lim Wee Kiok, who sits on the Government Parliamentary Committee for Health, acknowledged the risks but also pointed out that many people are looking forward to meeting their loved ones in person. I hope the multi-ministry task force will lift restrictions on dining in, so we can look forward to Father's Day celebrations at restaurants and hawker centers, he said.